Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let's get into it. So Nell walked into the courtroom, and she has Julian there. Which, honestly, let's be honest, who else could she actually really get to marry her at this point? But yeah, she had Julian there. Everyone's shocked. Carly was just like, of course. So after the judge decided to insert his pot, I don't know what the issue is with certain judges, but they seem to have a fucking god complex, and he's all like, oh well, don't do any outbursts, blah 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 blah. No more outbursts, no more surprises. You came in there late already, and so after everything settles down, they start up. Diane passes, pretty much paints Michael in the best lights, and that they're saying he comes from two loving homes, two loving families, a big house. He's not an absentee dad. He'll sit there and constantly be there for his son. Took time from work to be there for his son. I don't think she said that, but basically saying that he's not an absentee parent. Just painting him in the best possible light. So, now it's Nell's turn, and Martin's about to sit there and get on the stand, and Nell's like, I'm counting on you. And Martin's like, I know. This is why I'm charging you so much damn money. So he gets on the stand, and he starts painting Nell in the best possible light. Oh, well, Nell is this, and, Nell got her baby taken from her by Brad, and, switched it for a dead baby, and Nell had to sit there and fight for paternity, had to sit there and try to get a petition to get, joint custody, and just painting her, just putting her in, like, the victim, she's the victim of Brad, and, she's the victim of Michael being selfish once he found out that their baby was alive. Then he sit there and try to, share Wiley with her, and she had to fight for custody and stuff like that. So just pretty much painting her, as the victim. And then towards the end, I have to tell you the truth, the sad thing is that I think he actually did a good job. Now, Diane did a good job, but surprisingly, Martin Gray did a good job as far as painting her as a victim, and basically saying that, she's a single, she's a mother, and you should, look at her in a more positive light. So he actually did a good job. I'm kind of surprised. So yeah, then they come back, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do a short recess, and we'll come back for an hour. And so they break up the courtroom or whatever, and Diane's like, hey, listen, I gotta sit there and make a quick call. By the way, just don't do anything stupid. Mostly to Willow, because she's like, listen, Michael's good. His poker face is he's good. You, on the other hand, I need you to make sure that you don't get overly emotional like you did and the last time I represented you. So then Diane calls Alexis, and Diane's like, listen, just to let you know, Julian married Nell. And that's pretty much where that ends. Let's see. In the beginning, Ava's sitting there saying that she's selling her penthouse. And, Lucy's like, well, who's the buyer? I mean, the buyer has no face. I want to know who this person is. And Cyrus Renault comes in. It's like, hey, Ava, I'm the person that's going to be buying your property. And Ava's just pretty much like, nope, hell no. I didn't know it was you. No, kick rocks. I want nothing to do with you. And Cyrus is like, listen, I know about your past and everything like that, this, that, and the third. I'm just a guy that's just trying to, just got out of prison. And Ava's like, listen, I know what you did to my friend's dad, and no. She's pretty much just like, hell no. And then Cyrus gets a call. Now Sonny is looking at this whole thing, and the minute that Cyrus takes the call, Sonny drops to the worst possible conclusion. And by the way, before I get started, Maurice Benard did an interview on Power 105. He did an interview talking about his new book. Definitely check it out. It's actually really good. I actually watched the whole interview. Yeah, he's a really great guy. And, he's talking about mental health. His new book is out. Definitely watch the interview. It's on Power 105. So just type in Maurice Benard. I'm going to write down it. I'm actually write down the interview. So definitely check it out. So Sonny comes in. And Sonny's like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, seriously, bro? You just jumped to the worst possible conclusion. You didn't even bother to hear her out. And pretty much Ava said the same things. Ava's like, yo, listen, why are you always jumping to the worst conclusion? And Sonny's like, well, I've learned to expect it. So you go back and forth. And here's the thing. Because Ava gets so upset, Ava's like, listen, at first Ava's like, listen, I didn't know who he was, who was buying my penthouse. I had no idea. Lucy never told me. And Sonny's like, well, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? So at this point, Ava's like, well, I'm free to do business with whoever the hell I want. And Ava's pretty much like, well, listen, you're one to talk. You do, business with, who knows, you do business with very shady people. What is Ava going to say? What are you going to sit there and tell Avery when she grows up? And Sonny's like, well, I'm going to tell her that I'm a coffee importer. What are you going to sit there and tell your daughter, Avery? So it's pretty much as a standstill. Honestly, to tell you the truth, it was one of those things where it's like, Sonny started it, and he was more wrong in the situation than Ava. Ava was upset, so she just decided to dig her heels in. And then that's when Sonny walks away. And before Sonny walks away, Sonny's like, oh yeah, listen, by the way, he gets a call, and he answers it, and he's like, yo, listen, check your brother. And, that ends that. And so Cyrus comes back, and it's like, so, that penthouse. And Neighbor's like, nope, it's not for sale. And Cyrus is like, hey, I'm hearing that you're going to be doing a little soiree, a little party at Windermere. And Neighbor's like, nope, you're not invited. I want nothing to do with you. And then Cyrus says something. Cyrus is like, listen, I know that you share a daughter with Sonny. If you ever need me to, put him in his place, just come to me. And Neighbor's like, all right, here's the thing. You don't ever talk about somebody's child. Ever bring somebody's child into whatever discussion that you're having. Especially if it's not a pleasant one. And I felt like that was more of a threat than anything else. Me personally, I felt like that was kind of a threat. But Ava's like, listen, don't ever bring my fucking child into this conversation. Ever. So, that pretty much ends Ava's scene. So, in the beginning, you got TJ, Commissioner, Molly, and Curtis. They're talking. They're congratulating, Molly and TJ on their, what is it called? Domestic partnership. I want to go on record by saying that is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And this is just some SJW bullshit about patriarchy and some fucking bullshit. Really hate that, but whatever. So there's nothing congratulating them on their, whatever. And Molly is just guilty as sin, just feeling all sorts of guilty. And Molly's not saying anything, so the commissioner pulls her to the side. It's like, listen, let's have a talk. Pulls her over to the bar. And by the way, Sonny comes in, says congratulations, and sends over a bottle of champagne or whatever. But yeah, so she pulls, she takes Molly to the bar, and it's like, listen, I apologize for what I said. What I said was very hurtful and very wrong. Shouldn't have said it, blah, 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 blah. And, then I guess she goes back to, then they go back to the table, and Curtis has a little chit chat with TJ. And Kurt's like, listen, if you're still scared, because you don't have to sit there and put on a brave face. And TJ's just like, listen, I am waking up in the middle of the night. I am checking the windows. I'm nervous that this is going to happen again. And then they all get together or whatever, and that's when Sonny comes by. I think that's when Sonny comes by and said congratulations. He sends over a bottle of champagne, and then Jordan, ungrateful fucking Jordan, comes over and is like, listen, because Sonny comes over and he's like, hey, listen, how you doing, TJ? Is everything alright? Does Mac has a lead on what's going on? And Kurt is all like, well, it's a police investigation or some shit like that. I was like, bro, calm down. Alright, just calm down. Anyway, Jordan walks up to Sonny and is all like, well, I'm handling this and mind your damn business, pretty much. Just being a complete and ungrateful ass. I just hate how she's acting all tough to Sonny, like she can take on Cyrus by himself. Like, you couldn't get back TJ by yourself, and you had to submit to Cyrus. So let's not sit there and try to act like, I'm this badass or whatever, because you're not. And so yeah, she's all like, mind your business or whatever, and Sonny's like, listen, if Mac uncovers more, this is not going to be good for you. And Jordan's like, oh, I can handle my people. Yeah, okay, whatever. And then towards the end, that's when Cyrus comes over. This is when everyone's gone. Cyrus comes over to Curtis and Jordan, and they talk for a little bit, and pretty much Cyrus basically says like, hey, listen, I just want to make sure that everyone is safe, I want to make sure that you're safe, Jordan. I want to make sure your family is safe, because he asked Curtis to do some work for him, and Curtis is like, nah, I'm not interested, I'm good. And Cyrus is like, all right, relax, I'm just offering an olive branch, I want to make sure everyone is safe, and making sure that everyone is just being copacetic to each other. Pretty much Cyrus threatens fucking well, he doesn't threaten them. He reminds Curtis and Jordan that he still has the power. And he does one of those double talk when he says one thing but he means something else. And then he just walks off, and that pretty much ends that. So, Jocelyn and the group are talking. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of put this last a little bit, but they're talking and they're getting together and stuff like that, and they're talking about ultimate frisbee, because apparently that's a thing. And at first, Cam and Trina try to make it seem like they don't want them to be invited, which is kind of weird. It made no damn sense. And then they're like, all right, no, it's not that. You're invited. It's cool. And then Jocelyn gets like, I guess, a text or whatever from Milo or one of the drivers, like, all right, it's time to get out. And so they go their separate way. They go their separate ways, and they go to separate ways, and Cam and Trina talk about how it was nice having each other's back or whatever for a little bit, just kind of just doing our own thing. And Trina thanks Cam for being a good friend. And to tell you the truth, it was kind of pointless. But then Dev informs Jocelyn, listen, because Jocelyn's like, yo, they were acting a little weird. And Dev is like, listen, Cam's into you. And Jocelyn acts like the clueless girl that she is. Oh, me? What are you talking about? We know each other our whole lives, And Dev is like, listen, because Jocelyn's like, well, why didn't you not say anything before? And Dev was like, listen, the timing was bad. I mean, Oscar passed, and, it just wasn't a good time. It was never really the right time, and now he feels it's the right time. And then Jocelyn's like, oh, well, what do I do? And then Dev is like, well, listen, just break it to him easy. I don't understand why is Dev Smith telling Jocelyn just to let him down easy, because I mean, why? I don't understand. It's like you want her, but you don't want to mess things up, but then you don't want her to be with somebody else. Like, what kind of? Okay, you know what? Whatever. They're teenagers. But something really good happened. So in the beginning, Sam brings Alexa to the gym to work out and stuff like that, just to kind of like, blow off some steam or whatever. And Alexa's like, oh, what am I gonna do without being a lawyer? Blah 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 blah. Woe is me. And Sam was like, listen, you can wallow at your house. You've been wallowing at your house. We've been with you wallowing at your house, watching a bunch of British baking shows and rom-coms. It's time for you to get out the damn house. So, yeah, and Alexa's all like, oh, I don't want to work out, blah, 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 just being totally lazy. And then Sam gets a call, so she walks away, and Brando walks over after Alexa starts kicking the bag or whatever, and Brando's like, you might want to use these gloves. And Alexa's like, oh, I'd rather kick it. I honestly tell you the truth, I don't even want to be here. So they talk a little bit or whatever. And then Sam comes over, and then Sam starts to act like a bitch. Let's just be fucking honest. He starts to act like a bitch a little bit. Like, oh, what are you doing talking to my mom? They're in the gym. Calm down, okay? And then, they talk for a little bit. And then, Brando's like, listen, it's nice meeting you or whatever. And he walks away. And, Alexa's checking, Brando out. And, Sam was all like, oh, I don't see it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I kind of think that you're bullshitting about that, but sure, whatever. And then, I don't know where Alexis goes. It's kind of weird, because it's just Brando and Sam there, and Alexis just disappears. So Sam walks over to Brando, and she's like, I gotta talk to you. At this point, Brando's just had enough. Brando's like, listen, just give me a list of all the people that you know, and this way I'll just avoid them. And this way we won't have to have this whole little back and forth bullshit talk, okay? And Sam is like, listen, I just want to kind of apologize. And I was like, whoa. Glad I was sitting down for that one. That one just shocked me. You actually apologize? Like, I almost want to melt. I rewind that scene a couple of times just to hear her say, I'm sorry. Because for a good fucking week, she was just on Brando's ass for some unknown reason. And, at one point, Alexis and Sam were talking, and Alexis was like, listen, he seems like a nice guy. What happens, what happened. He doesn't really seem like a bad guy or whatever. Like, she's pretty much just like cutting some damn slack. So Sam's like, listen, I apologize for, just me going off on you in the garage and stuff, And, Brando's like, listen, let's just chalk it up to whatever happens. Let's just nod and just kind of keep it civil. We don't have to be friends or whatever. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't blame him for saying that, because to be honest, you can apologize all you want, and I can forgive you, but I'm not going to forget it, And we could just be civil, and that's fine. So Sam actually apologized. I was actually kind of surprised. I don't know. I'm kind of sitting there thinking that maybe they got some backlash from that whole thing. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I don't honestly know, because again, they tape these things a while in ahead. So, yeah, that was pretty much about it. Sam apologized. Let me just pause it for 1 second. I want to make sure that I got everything down. Oh, during the court hearing, when Martin Gray was sitting there painting Nell in this positive light, and pretty much just painting her as the victim of this whole thing. They did little flashbacks where Nell blackmails Julian, and then says, hey, listen, if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna call the cops, and I'm gonna call Sonny, and trust me, you better hope the cops get to you before Sonny does. And Julian's like, okay, how about I got a counteroffer? How about I just end your life now? And Nell's like, oh, you know what? I thought of that. So Nell's like, I have everything written down, and is at my attorneys, at my lawyers. So anything happens to me, one gets sent to him, and one gets sent to, well, she didn't say that. She was like, if something happens to me, the letter's gonna go to my attorney, and you're gonna be screwed. So pretty much she had a backup plan in case she gets killed. And then Julian's like, all right, well, let's get married. And that's pretty much how that thing happened. I mean, it's not really a surprise. I don't even understand why they even had to put in that whole flashback. But I guess it was just to explain, because some people would be sit there and say, well, why didn't he just kill her? Well, she has a letter, and in case her death, in the case of her death or her untimely demise, that letter will be sent to an attorney, and it will be sent to the cops, and Julian's still gonna be screwed. So yeah. That pretty much ends that. It's weird because I felt like not a lot happened, and I hope some more stuff starts to happen because, like I said, from what I heard from Little Birdie, Thursdays is probably gonna be this Thursday is probably gonna be the last new episode for a while. I don't know how long, but as everyone knows, they shut down production. I don't know how long they shut it down for. I'm probably going to try to find out some more information about it, and I will let people know. That's going to do it for this recap. By the way, and in case I didn't say this before, Maurice Benard did an interview on Power 105 about his new book. Definitely check it out. He's a really interesting guy. And again, in one of his interviews, he says that, because people will say, one of the interviewers just net there asked him, like, what do you do to prepare for these roles as far as, high school is concerned? And Sonny's like, I'm a method actor. And so when I'm, doing these scenes and stuff like that, I draw from my own experiences. Like, he talked about, he said that twice. He said that once when he did a scene with Mike, dealing with, his Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's. And he also said he did a scene where, this is way back, and this is when Carly was in labor and they didn't know was she gonna make it, and he was doing that very touching scene. He said that he drew from inspiration. I don't know where that came from, but that must have been something personal that happened in his life. So definitely check out the interview. I'm gonna write down the name of it in the description box. And that's gonna do it for this recap. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And keep safe, and I will catch you in the next recap.